or someone delivers bad news. Everyone was already seated. My siblings, their spouses. Kids bouncing around with party hats, sugar highs, and zero awareness. My chair was the only one left, wedged between Marla, my older sister, and Darren, the little brother who once called me crying when his car broke down outside Vegas. I'd wired him $1,200 that night without hesitation. No one looked up when I sat down. I asked where Mom was. No one answered. I asked if Dad had seen the gift I left at the front, an engraved watch I'd saved 3 months for. Still nothing. Then Marla leaned toward me, the smell of her rosewater perfume wrapping around me like a chokehold, and whispered, "You're lucky we let you come." I blinked. "What?" She pulled back, smirking like she just hit a game-winning shot. Then she stood up, raised her wine glass, and tapped it with a dessert spoon. Ching ching. "Before we dig into the filet mignon my brother so generously paid for," she started, her voice syrupy and performative, "we have an announcement." Conversations dropped. Even the kids stopped fidgeting. "It's time we acknowledge something that's been building for years," she continued, now standing behind her chair like some suburban judge delivering a sentence. "Trevor has made his choices, his career, his bachelor lifestyle, his little dog over there," she gestured vaguely toward me. "And that's fine. But choices have consequences." My gut clenched. Not because I didn't see it coming, but because I did. I'd seen this moment forming in the corners of every group chat I wasn't in, every half-hearted thank you, every subtle dig passed off as a joke. And now here it was. So, after a long family discussion, Marla looked around, locking eyes with Darren, with Mom, even with Dad, who didn't flinch. "We've agreed to cut ties. As of tonight, you're no longer part of this family." There was a pause. Not the kind that leaves room for someone to object, but the kind that gives space for everyone to show where they stand. And then, applause. Scattered, awkward clapping, like a bad speech at a wedding. My cousin Tasha let out a woo and raised her cocktail. Darren nodded like he just signed off on a group project. My mother kept eating her salmon, eyes fixed on her plate like nothing was happening. I turned to my dad. "You're okay with this?" He sipped his scotch and muttered, "It's probably for the best." My mouth went dry. I sat there in a room full of people I'd financially supported for over a decade. People whose mortgages I floated, whose kids I'd taken on weekend trips, whose emergencies always somehow became my responsibility. "You rehearsed this," I said quietly. Marla gave me that same fake smile she wore at every Christmas brunch. "Of course we did. We wanted to be respectful." Respectful. I reached into my jacket, pulled out a thick white envelope. Heavy, deliberate, sealed. I set it on the table. Not with force. Just finality. "Then you won't need this." Marla raised an eyebrow. "What, your will?" I smiled. "Close. It's everything you thought I'd never say out loud." She rolled her eyes and grabbed the envelope. Tore it open like she expected to see a childish rant, or maybe another check with a passive-aggressive note. Instead, she found a stack of papers. Printouts. Dates. Transfers. Screenshots. Names. Her hands started to tremble. But before we get to that moment, before the screaming, the gaslighting, the fallout, I need to tell you how we got here. Because no one cuts off a family without a reason. And in my case, I had 78,000 of them. They didn't always hate me, not exactly. It was more like I gradually stopped being useful in the way they preferred. When I was a kid, I was the quiet one. The mature one. The one who didn't cause trouble. Didn't ask for much. Didn't need reminding to do his homework. While Marla was throwing tantrums and Darren was breaking lamps, I was reading books and fixing the Wi-Fi. And the thing about being low maintenance in a dysfunctional family, you don't get praise. You get ignored. I moved out at 18. No drama, no big goodbye. I packed up a U-Haul, signed a lease on a one-bedroom apartment an hour away, and started putting myself through college. 2 jobs. No help. My mom called me stoic, like it was a compliment. My dad said, "That's just how Trevor is. Self-sufficient." What he meant was, we don't have to worry about him. And they didn't. Not when my roommates stole from me. Not when I missed a semester because I couldn't afford textbooks. Not when I graduated with honors. alone, with no one in the audience. But they remembered me the day Marla got fired. Trevor, can you cover rent this month? Just until she finds something. They remembered me when Darren's wife had a baby. Trevor, we were hoping you could help with the crib, and maybe the car seat, and the hospital bill. They remembered me every holiday season, every unexpected expense, every urgent situation. And I helped. Of course I helped. Because I told myself it was temporary. That family shows up when it matters. That they'd do the same for me if the roles were reversed. Except the roles never reversed. I made it. I worked my way into a tech startup, then another. I learned to budget, to invest, to build stability. And as my paychecks grew, so did the requests. Bigger, bolder, more entitled. No, please. No, if you're able. Just, we need this. You can afford it. Marla once called me Trevi, like an ATM. They laughed when I protested. Don't be so sensitive, Darren chuckled. It's just a nickname. The thing is, I am sensitive. I just stopped showing it. Somewhere along the way, my role shifted from brother to emergency fund. If I missed a birthday party, I was selfish. If I questioned a loan, I was greedy. If I said no, I was pulling away. But the real turning point was last year. Marla wanted to open a boutique wellness studio. Yoga, smoothies, candles. It'll be huge, she said. It's not just a business, it's a movement. She asked me to co-sign the loan. I said no. I said it calmly, politely. Even offered to review her business plan. Help her find a grant. She didn't want help. She wanted a signature, a guarantee, an insurance policy wrapped in brotherly obligation. She hung up on me. And that was the last time she called. After that, the walls closed in. Mom stopped texting me those guilt-laced Bible quotes. Dad only replied in one-word answers. Darren blocked me on Instagram. Marla posted a long, cryptic story about cutting out toxic people who drain your energy, accompanied by a photo of her holding sage and staring into the sun. Then came the group photo at Easter. Everyone is smiling in front of Mom's house. Everyone but me. No invite, no explanation. I sat in my apartment that day, eating leftover Chinese food, scrolling through my bank records. I went 5 years back, then 7. Tallying every payment, every Venmo, every just until next Friday that never came. It added up to over $78,000. $78,000. Gone. And you know what stung more than the money? Not once did anyone offer to pay me back. Not even a $10 gift card. Not even a thank you card. So I started building the folder. Receipts, text threads, screenshots, dates, transfers. I kept it organized, like I do everything. Color-coded tabs, summary sheet, chronological order, even a timeline of family events they excluded me from. Petty? Maybe. But I wasn't planning revenge. I was building proof of everything they refused to see. Because I knew, deep down, that a storm was coming. And when it finally hit, I didn't want to scream. I didn't want to cry. I wanted to sit at that dinner table, look them all in the eye, and show them exactly what they'd done. No yelling, no pleading, just facts. Neatly printed. 3 hole punches, and impossible to ignore. Marla's smirk died the moment she hit page 2. At first, she flipped through the folder like it was a joke. A passive-aggressive birthday card, maybe. Or a petty spreadsheet from her uptight brother who couldn't take a joke. But then her eyes froze. Her face dropped. The table quieted. Her fingers trembled as she turned another page. Her mouth twitched, like she wanted to say something but didn't know how. "What is this?" she muttered. Darren leaned over. "What's going on?" She didn't answer. She just stood up. Too fast, knocking her wine over in the process. The glass rolled across the table and spilled into Dad's lap. He jumped, cursing. But Marla wasn't looking at him. She was staring at me. "You had no right," she hissed. I sat still, calm, unmoving. "You had no right to save all this," she said louder now, pointing at the folder like it was a bomb. "This is a violation. You're twisted." No one moved, not even the kids. My mother slowly set her fork down, her face pale, her lips slightly parted. She looked like she had just seen a ghost. Joel, Marla's husband, picked up the folder and began reading. Then he said it out loud. $78,000? He looked at me, eyes wide. I nodded once. Verified. Every cent. Is this from you to them? Over 7 years, I said. Silence again. A silence so thick you could feel it pressing against your chest. Joel flipped more pages. Credit card charges, dental bills, Cabo flight confirmation? He stopped, narrowed his eyes. Wait, what's this hotel booking? Santa Monica? Marla's eyes widened. She reached for the folder, panicked. That's nothing. That was work. Joel didn't move. You went to a hotel for 3 nights with someone named Ryan? I told you, she started. He held up his hand. You told me you were at a wellness retreat with your mom. And just like that, the cracks turned into fault lines. Joel got up and walked out, folder in hand. No shouting, no scene. Just a door swinging shut. My mother finally spoke. You kept records of everything? I turned to her, my voice even. Someone had to. You never remembered. She blinked, looked down at her plate, then whispered. We didn't mean to make you feel like an outsider. No, I said. You meant to make me feel useful. She looked up, eyes wet. That's not fair. It's honest. Then my dad cleared his throat. Okay, we all got a little emotional. Let's calm down before this gets out of hand. Out of hand. He still thought this was salvageable. That's the thing about people like them. They don't hear you until you burn the whole house down. And even then they complain about the smoke. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out another envelope. Dad rolled his eyes. What now? I placed it in front of him. This one's not about money. He opened it. Read the first line. Then I froze. Power of attorney. Revoked? He said. Medical proxy. Emergency contact. Financial fallback. All of it. Revoked. I am no longer legally, financially, or emotionally responsible for this family. My mother gasped like I'd slapped her. You can't mean that. I do, I said. And it's already been notarized. You'll get the formal notice on Monday. You're being cruel, Marla snapped, re-entering the room, her mascara smudged. No, I said, standing up. I'm being done. Marla looked at our mother, searching for support. You're really letting him do this? My mom whispered. He's not listening. No, I said again, louder this time, looking around the table. You're not listening. You had years to listen. Birthdays, holidays, hospital calls, group texts. I gave you time. I gave you money. I gave you patience. And when I finally stopped, just once, you exiled me like I was some distant cousin who showed up drunk. I leaned forward, palms flat on the table. I was your emergency contact, and now I'm the emergency. But here's the difference. I'm not here to fix it anymore. No one said anything. Marla stared at me like I was a stranger. Darren wouldn't meet my eyes. My mother looked at the folder, then at the envelope, then at the empty seat where Joel had been. Then I said it. The line I'd rehearsed for weeks. You didn't lose a brother tonight. You lost your backup plan. And with that, I picked up my coat, took one last look around the table, and walked out. No shouting. No slamming. Just footsteps. Quiet. Steady. I left them sitting in their own mess. Half-eaten cake, warm wine, and cold silence. I got in my car, turned off my phone, and drove home. For the first time in my life, no one could reach me. And for the first time, I didn't want them to. That night I didn't cry. I thought I would. I thought I'd break down on the drive home, shaking, breathless, running over everything I said and wondering if I'd gone too far. But instead, I felt something else. Stillness. Like a storm had passed and left behind nothing but clean air. When I walked into my apartment, it was quiet. Just me and the faint hum of the fridge. No half-yelled conversations bleeding through the walls. No group text buzzing my phone. No passive-aggressive voicemails from Mom. No guilt-laced Bible quotes from Marla. No, we're still family messages begging for one more favor. I poured a glass of wine, sat by the window, and let the silence settle into my bones. For the first time in years, no one needed anything from me, and I wasn't racing to fill the empty space. The next morning I did something small. Something ridiculous. I made pancakes. Not for a brunch. Not for a family visit. Just for me. Eggs, blueberries, a little bit of cinnamon. I sat at the table with my dog snoring at my feet, fork in hand, and I took my time. No texts came in. No emergency requests. No guilt. It felt like freedom. And then came the second feeling. Clarity. I started going for runs in the morning. I stopped checking social media for clues about whether Marla and Joel were still together. I deleted group threads, froze the shared accounts, changed my passwords, removed mom as my emergency contact, added a friend instead. I made a list of things I'd put off. Doctor's appointments, dentist, therapy. Yeah. I started therapy. Not because I was broken, but because I needed help learning how to not carry everyone else's weight. How to say no without guilt. How to stop confusing obligation with love. My therapist asked, "When was the last time someone gave to you without expecting something in return?" I couldn't answer. So I decided to change that. I started volunteering once a week, at a shelter, helping clean and set up meals. No one there knew me as the guy with a six-figure salary or a record of debt repayments to ungrateful family. No one asked me for money. They just said, "Thank you," and meant it. It was weirdly healing. And slowly, my world got bigger. I applied for a new job in a new city. Something closer to the coast. Something quieter. I didn't ask for advice. I didn't check if it would inconvenience anyone. I just did it. Got the offer. Took it. Packed up. A week before I moved, I got a letter. No return address, but I recognized my mother's handwriting. Inside, 3 pages. Front and back. Page 1 was regret. "We never meant to make you feel unwanted." Page 2 was guilt. "Marla's going through a lot. Joel left. Dad's blood pressure is high. Ellie misses her uncle." Page 3 was the ask. "We're behind on the mortgage. Just a little help. One last time. Then we promise." I didn't read the rest. I folded the letter, dropped it into the trash, and exhaled. They didn't want me back. They wanted access. They wanted the version of me who didn't say no. The one who paid quietly. Who swallowed resentment with a smile. But he's gone. That guy, Trevor the fixer, the wallet with legs, isn't here anymore. And you know what? The world didn't fall apart without him. They found other people to lean on. Or maybe they didn't. Maybe they had to finally face their own mess. Either way, not my problem. Since the move, life's been quieter. I go to bed without my phone on. I wake up when the sun hits my face. I take long walks. I read again. I cook for myself. I sleep better. I breathe deeper. No one has shown up at my door. No dramatic voicemail. Just silence. And for the first time, I'm thankful for that silence. Sometimes I think about Ellie. About what she'll be told about me. About how they'll spin the narrative when she's old enough to ask. But I also know this. She'll grow up, and she'll notice things. Who helped? Who disappeared? Who always showed up? And who finally stopped? And maybe one day she'll find me. Maybe she won't. But I'll be here. Whole. Unburdened. Me. Someone once asked me if I regretted cutting them off. I said, "I only regret not doing it sooner." And I meant it. It's been 7 months since the folder hit the table. 7 months since I walked out of that steakhouse and never looked back. Sometimes I catch myself wondering if they still tell the story. If they laugh it off or spin it differently. Trevor snapped. He lost it. He's punishing us. But then I remember. What they say doesn't matter anymore. Because I'm not there to hear it. And I'm not their version of me anymore. The old me? He didn't leave that night. He died at that table. Between the half-eaten cake and the spilled wine. The man they could guilt, corner, and control. Gone. And what grew in his place wasn't bitterness. It was peace. Not the kind that comes from revenge, or getting the last word. But the kind you find when you finally decide you don't owe anyone your suffering. And if that makes me the villain in their story, so be it. You can be the villain in someone else's story and still be the hero in your own. Since I left, the messages have slowed. At first they trickled in every few days, some angry, some pleading. A few emotional bombs disguised as apologies. But I didn't respond. And eventually, they ran out of ways to get to me. Well, most of them. Last month I got another envelope in the mail. No return address again, but it was my mother's handwriting. 3 words. We're still family. No explanation. No apology. No change. Just another hook. This time I didn't feel a thing. No rage. No sadness. Just nothing. I folded the note and placed it on top of the others in a shoebox marked, closure. Then I made dinner and watched a movie. No drama, no spiraling thoughts. Just Tuesday. That's what healing looks like. Not a Hollywood moment. Not a dramatic monologue in the rain. Just a regular Tuesday that feels like yours. I still go to therapy, not because I'm broken, but because I'm rebuilding. Slowly. With intention. I'm learning how to stop saying, I'm fine when I'm not. I'm learning how to choose myself without guilt. I'm learning that boundaries aren't punishments, they're clarity. Sometimes I wonder how I stayed so long. How many dinners I sat through with clenched teeth. How many favors I granted while quietly dying inside. How many times I convinced myself that family meant tolerating pain. But now I know the truth. Family is not whoever shares your blood, it's whoever respects your boundaries, your value, your peace. And if someone only calls you family when they need something, they're not your family. They're your leash. To anyone still stuck in that role, the quiet one, the fixer, the emotional punching bag, I get it. You keep hoping that if you just give a little more, they'll finally see your worth. But they won't. Because people who take without gratitude don't change when you give more. They change when you stop. And yeah, it'll hurt. It'll feel like ripping out a part of yourself. But what comes after? That stillness? That freedom? It's worth it. People say things like, blood is thicker than water. But that's not the full quote. The real phrase is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Translation? Chosen bonds are stronger than inherited ones. I didn't choose my family, but I choose me now. I choose the version of me that's not afraid to say no. The one who doesn't apologize for being tired. The one who wakes up without dread. The one who makes pancakes just because it's Sunday, and the sun is out. A few weeks ago, a friend asked me something. Do you think they'll ever change? I took a breath.